Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you doing? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're learning Daf Pei Daled, Daf 84 of Masechta Shabbis. Let's do an outline of the page before we begin. So we are going to begin the page with a continuation of what we finished with yesterday, talking about the Tumat of boats. So Hananya, we're going to explore a little bit Hananya's opinion, who said that boats, in order to be mikabel tuma, have to be able to be moved both when they are full and empty. We're going to then sort of segue into discussing tumas midras when it comes to earthenware stuff. Okay, sounds exciting, right? And then we are talking about, and then we're going to have a discussion about what's the source for the fact that tumas midras does not apply to earthenware, and we will get to a new Mishnah that describes Kilayim. That's sort of a high-level overview. Let's jump into this daf. So all the way at the bottom of Pei Gimel Amud Beis, it says Amar Rava, and now we are already on Pei Daled Amud Aleph with Hananya tiltal al yedei shvarim shmei tiltal. So Hananya had expressed the opinion yesterday that when it comes to the Tumat of boats, a boat is essentially no different than any other vessel that's made out of wood. And the rule is that if it can be moved when it is full, just like when it's empty, well then Tumat will apply. If it can't move when it's full, it's just too darn heavy, well then it will not be makabel Tumat. So says Rava that ul Hananya, now according to Hananya, tiltal ayde shvarim shmei tiltal. What if it's too heavy for humans to be able to pull? However, oxen would be able to pull it. Is that considered tiltal? And Rava says, yeah, sure. As long as it's movable, even if it will require oxen in order to move it, as long as it's movable, then it's considered movable and it'll be makabel tuma. What about nowadays that we have all sorts of things like bulldozers and stuff? What if a bulldozer can move it? Or a crane? I mean, things can move pretty much anything, I guess. I don't know. Fine. Ditnan, as we learned in a Mishnah, right, we're going to prove that as long as an ox can move it, it will be considered movable. Ditnan, as we learned in a Mishnah, Shalosh agalos hein. There are 3 types of carriages, okay, of wagons. Ha'asuya ki katedra. If it's made like a katedra is basically a chair. It's basically a chair. It's got a back, and it's got 2 arms. It's got 2 sides. Okay? So, Tamei midras. Okay? So it'll be Tamei midras. Okay? So if you have a wagon that's made like a chair, well then it'll be Tamei midras because it's meant for sitting on it. Right? Remember there was that thing of Amod v'naisim lachtenu, get up, we need this for our work. Well, there's no chance of get up, we need it for our work when it's meant to be a chair anyways. Like, you're meant to sit in it. There's no, concern for people kicking you out because they need it for their work. So therefore it would be Tamei tumas midras. Kimita, if you have this wagon that is made like a bed, like it's basically just flat and it's made for transporting things, well then it won't be Tamei tumas midras because it's made for transporting things. So if you're sitting on it, if the zav is sitting on it, so we'll say Amod v'naisim lachtenu, we need to transport things on it. So Tamei mace. So it'll become Tamei from a mace, meaning anything that can receive Tuma, it'll become Tamei from a mace, meaning if a mace touches it, it'll be an Ava Tuma, but also it applies to any Tumas maga. If a Zav touches it, or Mitzora, right, anybody who's able to be Metame Kalim, so it will become Tamei. Shel avanim tahor miklum. Now, if this agala, if this carriage is for transporting stones, it's made for transporting stones, well then it will be completely tar. It will be impossible for it to become Tamei. The reason for that being that if these carriages that were made for transporting stones, well, they had these big holes in them. And the thing when it comes to kalim, when it comes to vessels, is that if they have big holes in them that are large enough for a medium-sized pomegranate to fall through the hole, well then it's not considered a kli, it's not considered a vessel, and it cannot become tamei. And therefore these kalim, these wagons that were used to transport big stones, well, they're unable to become tamei because there are holes in the wagon that are too big, because the stones won't fall out because the stones are big, but there are holes in the wagon that are big enough that a pomegranate would fall through. So if Reb Yochanan says Reb Yochanan v'yesh ba beis kibul rimonim tmei meis. But Reb Yochanan says, however, if the holes were not that big, if the holes were small enough that a pomegranate would not fall through the holes, well, then it would be considered a kli. And if it's considered a kli, it can become tmei meis, meaning tumas maga, right? Anything that can be tmei kelim can be tmei it. And here we see that it's a kli that is used for transporting stones, heavy items that cannot be moved only by people. You would need to move it by a ox. And therefore, we see that even something that can only be moved by oxen, that's too heavy for a human to move, but oxen would be able to move it, that would be considered something that can become tameh, something that will be makabel tuma and fit the bill of being able to be moved when it is both full, just like when it's empty. Okay. Now the Gemara continues. Shalosh tevos hein. There are 3 types of chests, right? Imagine like a chest that you put things in. So there are 3 types of chests. Teva shepsacha mitzida tmea midras. So if you have a chest that you can open it up from the side, okay, so that can become tamei tumas midras. So if you have a chest and it's a big chest, and you can theoretically lie down on it, okay. So if a zav were to lie down on that chest, it would become tamei tumas midras. What about amod v'na'aseh melachtenu? What if somebody needs to use this chest? Well, he can use it because there's an opening from the side, and therefore you do not need to request from this zab who's lying down on this chest that he get up, because you can just open it up from the side, and therefore amod v'na'aseh melachtenu is irrelevant here, and this chest will be mekabel tumas midras. Okay. Milamaila, if the chest can only be opened up from above, well then tmei meis, well then it won't be metami tumas midras, because if this zav fellow is lying on it, we'll have to say, hey, get up, we need to open the chest, so amod v'na'aseh melachtenu, so it won't be mekabel tumas midras, but it will be mekabel tumas hameis, kilu tumas maga, right? So if something touches this chest, so it'll become tamei. Ve'ba'a b'mida tahor miklum. And basically what this means is, it's not a very clear lashon. Rashi explains how it can make sense, but the point, what it means is that if you have a box that is so darn big that it's just unmovable, well then it will not become tamei at all, i.e. it'll be tahor, because it's unmovable, and it needs to be able to be movable, both full and empty. Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, midras kli cheres. So when it comes to an earthenware object that you sit on it, well, tahor, right? Earthenware objects will never be mekabel tumas midras, and we'll learn out why later. Okay? Now Rabbi Yossi Omer afasfina. So now Rabbi Yossi says even a boat, and the question is, what is Rabbi Yossi's statement of even a boat? Even a boat what? So my Omer, what is this Bryce is saying, right? So it says that there's no concept of tumas midras when it comes to earthenware objects, and Rabbi Yossi says even a boat. And we got to figure out what this means. So Amar Rav Zvid. So says the holy Rav Zvid. Hachi Kamar. This is what the Bryce is saying. Midras kli cheres tahor. Okay, fine. So there's no concept of tumas midras by an earthenware vessel. So if a zav were to sit on an earthenware vessel, it would not be mekabel tumas midras. It would be tahor. It would be pure. Umagao tamei. However, the inside, right, when it comes to kli cheres, so it's not mitame from the outside. However, if you touch the inside of a kli cheres, it becomes tame. So we're saying that you cannot, meaning in addition to not being able to be mitame by touching the outside of it, also if you sit on it, it won't become tame. If a zav sits on it, it won't become tame. However, if he touches the inside of the kli cheres, of the earthenware vessel, well then he would be mitame the inside of the vessel. Why not? Usfina shel cheres, okay. Now, if you have a boat that is made out of cheres, that is made out of earthenware, it will be tmea ki Hananya. It will be tameh, just like as we learned yesterday, like according to Hananya, who says that only when it comes to sackcloth and wood and things like that does it matter that it has to be movable when it's empty. Or, wow, there's some siren that is being very, very active right now. A very active siren. I guess sirens are supposed to be distracting so that you get out of the way. So I'm going to get out of the way. Okay, and maybe it's gone now. So Hananya said yesterday that there were certain things like sacks and wood, right? These things have to be movable. It's back. Okay, and from now I'm going to focus now. So we said yesterday that according to Hananya, there are certain objects that need to be movable both when they are full as well as when they are empty, right? And earthenware was not such a thing, and therefore it does not matter if it's movable. It does not matter that this boat made out of earthenware is unable to be moved when it is full, and it will become tummy. So again, this brisa is saying, right? I'm going to read it again just from the previous line because I got a little distracted. So midras kli cheres tahor, right? So if you sit on a kli cheres, so it will be tar because there's no concept of tumas midras by a kli cheres. Fine. Umagao tame. If you touch the inside of the kli cheres, so then it will be tame. Usfina shel cheres tmea ki Hananya. And the Tanna Kamma is also saying that when it comes to boats, they will be tamei, even though you won't be able to move it when it's full. Like Hananya, who says that this whole thing about being able to move it when it's empty and when it's full is irrelevant when it comes to earthenware. However, Rabbi Yossi Omer af asfina tahora. And now Rabbi Yossi is saying is that just like tumas midras of a zav is tahor, as the Tanna Kamma by kli cheres, as the Tanna Kamma says. Well, he says that's not the. Rabbi Yossi says that's not the only thing that's tahor. Actually, also this sfina that's made out of earthenware is also going to be tahor ketana didan, like the author of our Mishnah, which says as long as as long as that a boat is compared to the sea, and this earthenware boat is a boat nonetheless, and it's going to be tahor. So that is how Rav Zvid wants to explain this brisa, essentially as saying that just like the midras of a zav, when it comes to kli cheres, is going to be tahor, well also a boat is going to be, a boat made out of earthenware is also going to be tahor, according to Rabbi Yossi. Like the author of our Mishnah who says that a boat on the sea is compared to the sea, that it's tahor. Maskif la Rav Papa. However, Rav Papa Rav Papa does not like Rav Zvid's explanation because he says it's apples and oranges, right? At the end of the day, right, Rav Papa wants to argue that Rav Zvid's explanation makes no sense because we're saying that just like the Tanna Kamma says that tumas midras of a zav when it comes to earthenware is tahor, therefore also the tumas maga, tumas midras of a zav when it comes to kli cheres is tahor. So therefore, Rabbi Yossi wants to say that also tumas maga of a boat is tahor. Kilu, we're comparing tumas midras to tumas maga. That is a shtickle apples and oranges, right? So maskif Rav Papa. So Rav Papa asked the kasha, my af sfina. What does it mean? Even a sfina, right? What do you mean? Even a sfina? Right. The Tanna Kamma is talking about midras. Even the sfina it's not talking about midras by the sfina. We're talking about maga by the sfina. So Ella Amar Rav Papa, rather Rav Papa says hachi kamar. This is how to learn the brisa. Midras kli cheres tahor. So the Tanna Kamma is saying that tumas midras by an earthenware vessel is going to be tahor. Okay, fine. Umagao tamei. Great. And if you touch the inside of the kli, it's going to be tamei. Now, vishal eitz. If this vessel is made out of wood, well, bein midraso uven magao tamei. Well, whether the zav sits on it, whether the zav touches it, it is going to be tamei. Okay. Usfinas hayarden. Now, when it comes to sfinas hayarden, this boat that is used to get across the Yarden, which we said. What was this smaller boat? Let's see. So Tahora Ketanati done. So the Tanna Kamma here is saying that this boat that was used to get across the Yarden would be Tahor, right? Just like our Mishnah, like the author of our Mishnah who says that, we compare all boats to the sea to say that they are tahor. Now Rabbi Yossi says, Afa svina tmea ki Hananya. And Rabbi Yossi says, actually, just like, we said that when it comes to Tumas eights, right, we say that it is tameh to touch it. So actually, also, the boat of the Yarden is also going to be tameh tumas maga, just like Hananya, who says that, well, since this small boat is able to be moved both when it's full and when it's empty, it's going to be tameh. So according to Rav Papa, right, so he says that in our brisa, right, in this brisa, so the Tanakama is saying that when it comes to kli cheres, right, the midras hazav is going to be tahor, okay, because there's no midras hazav by a kli cheres. But if he touches the inside of this kli cheres, then it will be tameh. Now he switches to talking about wooden kalim, right, and he says, however, when it comes to a kli that's made out of wood, whether the zav sits on it, whether he touches it, it's going to be tameh midras as well as maga. Then he says, and even though a zav will be metame things that are made out of wood, both by midras and maga, however, this does not extend to a boat, right? A boat, however, that is used to cross the Jordan, this small boat, is going to be tahor, like the author in our Mishnah, who says that any boat we compare to the sea to say that it is tahor, okay? To which Rabbi Yossi argues, and he says, no, even, right? Af svina sayarden, and what about even this svina? It's going to be tameh, right? Meaning the Tanakama had said that when it comes to wooden things, so they're going to be tameh midras and tameh maga. However, there is an exception, which is this sfinas hayarden, right? There's this sfinas hayarden, which we say is tahor, right? So the Tanakama is going to say that it's tahor because it's we compare it to the sea. To which Rabbi Yossi argues and he says, no, even the sfinas hayarden is going to be tameh because, like Hananya, that it's movable both when it is full as well as when it is empty. And like that, Rav Papa is able to maintain consistency between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yossi, that they're both talking about Tumas Maga, right? The Tanakama is saying that when it comes to clay eights, so they are Tameh Maga, right? But the Tanakama holds that there would be an exception for the Sfinas Hayarden, to which Rabbi Yossi says, no exceptions. Af Sfinas Hayarden, even the Sfinas Hayarden would be Tameh Tumas Maga. Okay. Now, the Gemara wants to know, Umidras Klecheres Minalan Tatar. How do we know that the midras of Klecheres are tahor? How do we know this? So Amar Chizkiya, the Amar Kras. So Chizkiya says, well, because we have Epis Pasuk. What does the Pasuk say? V'ish asher yiga b'mishkavo. When it's by zav, by the tumas mishkav, i.e. tumas midras of a zav, it says anybody who touches mishkavo, his mishkav, makish mishkavo, lo. We compare his mishkav to him. Mahu, right, meaning this thing that he's lying on, we compare it to him. So Mahu islay tyra b'mikvah, af mishkavu nami islay tyra b'mikvah. Just like this zav fellow is able to become tahor by going into the mikvah, obviously after he's not seen ziva for 7 days. So also the thing that he sits on needs to be a material that you'd be able to put in the mikvah. However, earthenware you do not put in the mikvah. You have to break it if it becomes tameh. Dever Rabbi Shmuel Tana, they learn in the Besmedrash Rabbi Shmuel Kimishkav Nidasa Yiyela. He learns it out from the following pasuk, which says Kimishkav Nidasa, like the mishkav of her when she, I guess that the nida sits on, Yiyela, meaning so makish mishkava la. So I'm sorry. Kimishkav Nidasa Yiyela, right? So that's talking about a zava, right? That is talking about a zava. That she's also mitame, whatever she sits on, and just like kimishkav nidasa yela, that the midras of a zava will be like the mishkav of a nida, and we compare over there nidasa, right? Makish mishkava la. We compare what she sits on to her. Mahi isla tayr b'mikvah, just like she it becomes pure by going to the mikvah. Af mishkava nami isla tayr b'mikvah. So also her midras, what the thing that she's sitting on needs to be something that can become tar in the mikvah. Lafuke klecheres. Now these are to exclude earthenware vessels, the leislei tari b'mikvah, which you cannot put in the mikvah. Now, Masiv Reb Illa. Reb Illa, however, asks a question from a brisa. Mapats. When it comes to something made out of reeds, you have some kind of mat made out of reeds. Mapats b'meis. So if you take if a corpse is lying on a mat made out of reeds, minayin. How do I know that it is mikabel tuma? How do I know that a mat of reeds that a mace is lying on will become tameh? So vidinu. Well, the brisa says you can learn it out logically. Umapachin kitanim shetahorin bizav. So when it comes to small earthenware vessels, so they are tahor by a zav. There's no way for them to become tameh. Not from the outside, not even from the inside, because they're too small to put it on the inside. Since it's not matame maga, it's also not matame beheset. Whatever it is, these small, earthenware containers do not become tameh by a zav whatsoever. Yet, tmeim b'meis. Yet, if they are in the ohel of a mace, right, they will become tameh by a mace. So therefore, mapats shetameh b'zav eno din shetameh b'meis. Now, a mapats, a mat made out of reeds, which can become tameh tumas midras by a zav. If a zav sits on this mat made out of reeds, well then, kavachomer, it should become tameh b'meis, right? Meaning, if we have tumas ameis seems to be applying to a broader spectrum of things in that, these pachin kitanim can become tameh b'meis, even though they don't become tameh by a zav. Well then, something that becomes tameh by a zav, right? This mat made out of reeds that becomes tameh b'midras hazav, well then, obviously it's a no-brainer that it should be tameh by a mace. So now the Gemara asks, "Va'amai hot leislei tar b'mikvah." But now to which Rabbi Illa says, "What do you mean? Didn't we just say that in order for something to be tameh tumas midras, it has to be something that you can put in the mikvah? You can't put this mat of reeds in the mikvah. It's pshute kle'etz. Pshute kle'etz don't become tameh. They don't become tar in the mikvah. That's it. So therefore, why? I don't understand." Rabbi Illa asks, "We just learned out that anything that, so the earthenware doesn't become tameh midras because we need, in order to become tameh midras, it has to be something that you can put in the mikvah. Yet, we seem to have a brisa that's assuming that these mats made out of reeds, can become tameh tumas midras, but those things don't go in the mikvah. So what's going on?" Amalei Reb Chanina, so Reb Chanina answers Reb Illa, and he says, "Shayni asam hovika b'mina." So Reb Chanina says, yeah, but it's different when it comes to these mats of reeds, because even though these mats of reeds, sure, you don't put in the mikvah, but other things made out of wood, right? The assumption is reeds are the same as wood. Other things made out of wood, you can put in the mikvah. If it has a base kibul, right? If it's not pshute kleitz, if it has some kind of receptacle and become tameh, well, it can also go in the mikvah and you can make it tar. So therefore, since there are so even though, sure, this mat you can't put in the mikvah, but there are other wooden things that you can put in the mikvah. So because there are other wooden things that you can put in the mikvah, we don't consider it something that cannot go into the mikvah. Even though this specific instance of this of a wooden object doesn't go in the mikvah, but there are other wooden objects that do go into the mikvah, and for that reason, we can consider this something that is able to contract tumas midras of a zav. So now, there's an interesting little dialogue here now. So, Amarle, Rabbi Illa responds to Rabbi Chanina, Rachmana litzlan mehai daita. You hear that? Rabbi Illa responds to Rabbi Chanina, may God save us from literally, may God save us from this perspective. Keilu, may God save us from such stupidity, from such a ridiculous answer. To which, Rabbi Chanina will not accept this from Rabbi Illa. He says, Adraba, no, the opposite. Rachmana litzlan midaita didach. May God save us from your opinion. Okay, looks like they've hit a stone wall. Okie dokie. I don't know which argument is better. They both seem to be quite similar and equally convincing. In any event, V'taima mai. But then Rabbi Chanina actually, he explains himself. He explains his reasoning why it makes sense to argue that since this mat made out of reeds, even though it can't go to the mikvah, but since there are other wooden vessels that can go to the mikvah, so that would make it something that would be shaykh to tumas midras. So he explains, so v'tayma mai, how come? So trei krai ksive, we have two psukim when it comes to Ezav. Ksiv, one pasuk says, Vish asher yiga b'mishkavo. So one pasuk says, anybody who touches that which he lied on, and we said that we compare his mishkav to him, just like his mishkav, just like he can go to the mikvah, so his mishkav needs to be something that he can go to the mikvah. So from that, strictly speaking, a mat of reeds would be excluded because it doesn't go to the mikvah. However, uchsiv v'chol mishkav asher yishkav alav azav yitma, that anything that a zav will lie on will become tameh. So that seems to be particularly inclusive, right? Meaning anything that a zav lies on will become tameh. Okay, so what's pshat? How do we resolve these two psukim? On the one hand, we have that one pasuk that says that only things that can go in the mikvah like he can would be shaykh to tumas midras. Yet we have this other pasuk that seems to be saying that anything that he lies on can become shaykh to tumas midras. So okay, so the Gemara answer is yesh b'mino avagav delays lay tire b'mikvah in b'mikvah ein b'mino makish mishkav lo. So when it comes to something that in its type there are things that can go to the mikvah, even though it itself doesn't go to the mikvah. So, for example, a mat made out of reeds, even though it doesn't go in the mikvah because it's pshutei kleitz, but there are other things made out of wood that would go in the mikvah. So, therefore, it's shaykh to tumas midras. However, if there are things like earthenware that there is never going to be an instance of earthenware that goes in the mikvah, well, there in that case, we'll say, well, since it can't go into the mikvah at all under any conditions, well, it's not going to be shaykh to tumas midras. Okay, so there we have it. So that's how Rabbi Hananya was able to explain why a mat of reeds would be able to become tameh tumas midras, while earthenware would not. Rava Amar, whereas Rava learns out the exclusion of earthenware from tumas midras, from midras klicheres tar mehacha. V'chokli pasuach asher ein samid pasil olav hayesh samid pasil olav tahoru. Friends, so as we've mentioned, a earthenware vessel cannot become tameh from the outside. Okay, it can only become tameh from the inside. Now, this means if I touch an earthenware vessel from the outside, it will remain tahor. If I touch an earthenware vessel from the inside, it will be tameh. Now, what if this earthenware vessel is in a house that has a dead body in it? So therefore there's tumas ohel. Well, in that case, if the vessel is open, well, whatever, the vessel is going to become tameh from the inside because the vessel was open. The whole kind of all the air, like the entire inside of the house is tameh. This vessel is inside the house. It's tameh. Fine. However, what if this earthenware vessel, is completely sealed? It's closed. It's got a seal on it. It's mamish sealed tight. Well, in that case, there's no way for the tuma of the oil to seep inside the vessel because it's completely sealed. It only can sort of be interacting with the outside of the vessel, and earthenware vessels do not become tameh from the outside. So therefore, anything that is in this vessel will remain tahor. The vessel will protect its contents from becoming tameh if the vessel is sealed tightly. So, okay, so now we're saying, so v'chol kli pasuach asher ein samid pasil olav. Now any kli that is in all of a mace and the kli is open, okay, it's not sealed tightly, well then the contents will become tameh. Hayesh samid pasil olav tahor. However, if there is a seal around this vessel, this earthenware vessel, well then the contents of the vessel will remain tahor. So, Milo askinon, are we not talking about the chadinu leishto nida v'kamer achman atar? Are we not even talking about that in a situation where he had set aside this kli that's made out of earthenware for his wife, and she's a nida, right, and she can sit on it, and yet we're saying that it nonetheless will protect the contents of this vessel from becoming tameh. Now, how does this prove anything? Because if we're saying that a kli cheres would be able to become tameh from midras, well then that would mean that if this vessel is specifically for this woman who is a nida, okay, for her to sit on, okay? And therefore it's not, it's specifically for sitting on, and therefore there's no issue of amod v'nasim lachtenu. It would be a candidate for becoming tumas midras, tamei tumas midras. Now, if we're going to say that an earthenware vessel does in fact contract tumas midras, well then it wouldn't protect the contents of it in an oel ames, right? Because we have a principle that kol dvar tuma ein chotzet b'fnei tuma. If you have something that itself is tamei, it can't protect from tuma. Therefore, if this kli was set aside for a nida to be able to sit on it, then this kli would become, and if we're saying it would become tamei tumas midras, well, then it would not protect the contents of the vessel in ohel ames, because anything that can become tamei cannot protect other things in an ohel ames. The only way for us to be able to understand that this vessel that is completely sealed, if it is in a house, in an ohel ames, the contents would remain tahor. The only way to explain that would be to say that this vessel is also impossible for it to contract tumas midras, because if it is able to contract tumas midras, well then it wouldn't protect the contents of the vessel inside an ohel ames, and therefore we see that earthenware vessels are unable to be makabel tumas midras. Okay, new Mishnah. Minayin la'ruga shu shisha al shisha tfachim. How do you know that if you have a patch of land that is 6 tfachim by 6 tfachim, shezorin besocha chamisha zeronin, that you would be able to plant in this patch 5 unique species of plants, and we're not concerned about kilayim, about grafting, about mixing together different species. And how would you do this? Arba ruchos haruga. So you would have 4 of the different species on each of the 4 sides of the patch, respectively, right? So you have a square patch that is 6 by 6 tfachim. So on each of the 4 sides, you would be able to, more or less fill up the sides with plants. You would just have to leave the corners empty. And then you would be able to plant 1 seed in the middle of the patch, and like that you can have 5 different species in 1 patch. Shneamar, as the pasuk says, ki ka'aretz totzi tzimcha v'cha. What was this pasuk? So it says, ki ka'aretz totzi tzimcha, like the land will release its plants, uchigana zeruel tatzmiach, and like a garden, it will bring forth its seeds. So zar'a lo ne'amar ela zeruel. It doesn't say zar'a. It doesn't say it's seed, like singular, ela zeru'ah, it's seeds plural, and therefore you can have multiple types of seeds in this one patch, and as long as it is recognizable that you have 4 different sides and there's different things growing on each side, that is fine. You don't have to be concerned any more than that. As long as it's recognizable that each of the 4 sides has a separate species and then there's a 5th one in the middle, that would be acceptable. Fine. So that was daf 84. Let us review that. So we began the daf with Hananya's opinion about moving, right? So we said that when it comes to like a boat, so it depends, if it's movable when it is full as well as when it's empty, so it will become tameh. But if when it's full, it can't be moved, so it will be tahor. So we then said that's even if the only way to move it is with oxen, that would still be considered movable and it would be tameh. Then we had this interesting brisa where the Tanakama said that earthenware vessels are unable to contract tumas midras, and then Rabbi Yossi said, and even a boat. And the question is, what does it mean, even a boat? So Rav Zvid says that according to the Tanakama, so when it comes to earthenware vessels, so they would be tahor from tumas midras of a zav. If a zav sits on them, they would remain tahor. However, if a zav were to touch it, tumas maga from the inside, so then it would become tameh. Okay, and he says, and the same would apply also to a boat made out of earthenware, that it would be tameh as well, just like Rav Zvid, just like Hananya, right? Who says that this whole thing about needing to be movable both when it's empty and when it's full doesn't apply to earthenware, and therefore that would be tameh even if you would be unable to move it when it's full. To which Rabbi Yossi responds, no, even a boat made out of earthenware would be tahor, just like the author of our Mishnah, who says that all boats are tahor because they're compared to the sea. So just like the Tanakama is saying that klei cheres are tahor when it comes to Tumas midras, so Rabbi Yossi says even a boat made out of cheres would also be tahor. To which Rav Papa responds and says, well, these are apples and oranges. The Tanakama is talking about Tumas midras being tahor, and you're saying that Tumas maga by a boat is tahor. These are two different things. So rather, Rav Papa explains it that the Tanakama is saying that earthenware is tahor when it comes to Tumas midras, i.e. Tumas midras does not apply to earthenware. However, if you touch it from the inside, it would become tameh. And then he switches gears to talk about wood, right? And he says that when it comes to wooden vessels, so they will become tameh, both midras as well as maga. But he says that when it comes to boats made out of wood, so then they would be tahor, like the Tana of our Mishnah, right? Who says that, well, not just boats, but boats, right? These Sfinos HaYarden, these small boats that go in the Yarden, they would be tahor, like the Tana of our Mishnah that says all boats are tahor. To which Rav Yossi responds that actually these Sfinos HaYarden would even be tameh as well, since it's like Hananya who says that since you won't be able, since you can move it both when it's full and it's empty, it will be mikabel tuma. Fine. So now we asked, what is the source of earthenware vessels being tahor from Tumas midras? So Chizkiah said it comes from the pasuk of V'ish Asher Yiga b'Mishkavo. By Ezav it says Mishkavo. We compare him to his Mishkav, just like he has a tahor in the mikvah. Also, the Mishkav by Tumas midras has to be something they can go into the mikvah. By the Besmedra of Rabbi Shmuel, they learn it out from Mishkav Nidasa Yela, that they compare the midras of a Zava to the midras of a Nida, and it says Nidosa, or Nidasa. So we compare her Mishkav to her, just like she can go to the mikvah. Also, the Mishkav needs to be able to go to the mikvah to exclude klei cheres that cannot go to the mikvah. Rabbi Illa then asked a kasha but 1 second, we assume that a mat made out of reeds is able to become tameh midras, but a mat made out of reeds doesn't go to the mikvah. So Rabbi Hanina gave an answer, which is that yes, but even though the mat of reeds doesn't go to the mikvah, but there are other things made out of wood that can go to the mikvah, which is what enables a mat of reeds to be able to become tumas midras, as opposed to something made out of earthenware, which can't go to the mikvah at all. Rava gives an answer, which is that, well, we know that when it comes to anything made out of earthenware, if it is sealed and it is in an ohel hameis, it will protect its contents from becoming tameh. So in order for that to be true, in order for that to make sense, that something made out of earthenware will be able to protect its contents from becoming tameh in an ohel hameis, it must be that it is impossible to become tameh midras, because if it can become tameh midras, well, then it won't be able to protect its contents in an ohel hameis. And then we got to a new mikvah about Kilayim in a patch, and we say that if the patch is 6 tefachim by 6 tefachim, you'll be able to plant 5 different types of species of plants, one on each of the 4 sides, and another seed in the middle, because they will be distinguishable one from another. Okay, that was Daf Pedal. It was a little bit technical, I guess, but hopefully it was cool enough. All right, everyone, have a great day. Peace out.